Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. The jubilant Mosha body didn't bother to care about the knight's reaction. The instant Mosha body dove into the golden pool, he sensed the distortion in space. He had entered an abysmal passage filled with dominant godly force of gold and leading him rapidly to the land of origin, the ocean of gold laws. Boom. As Mosha body was about to reach the land of origin, an irresistible power from the universe suppressed him and kicked him out of the passage. Mosha body rolled, then stood in the air. He was in a void. In the distance were some irregular astronomical objects, including some giant, desolate meteorites and floating pieces of broken continents. Where am I? Mosha body immediately checked the universe coordinates and was pleasantly surprised when he saw the data. He had been ejected while on his way to the land of origin and had instead arrived at a void only a few light years away from the place that had been breeding the space heart. I'm several light years away from that mysterious place, he said, but luckily, this is close to 9 remoteness space. Not only did I waste no time, but I actually saved a lot of time. Now, regarding this transformation, Mosha body was filled with joy. He couldn't wait any longer and began to examine the changes in himself carefully. Even if he could somehow acquire the space heart itself, he still wouldn't have been as exhilarating as he was at this moment. After all, the applications of space heart would have been limited until Luo Feng's strength reached a certain level. But as Mosha body clenched his fists, the formidable power it produced trembled the void. Break. Mosha body casually swung his right hand, which formed a claw shape, and tore through the void. This power is mighty, he said. And awesome. Previously, Mosha body had only had the strength of a pinnacle sector lord. His strength was so weak that he could only fight against official-level undying fighters with the help of his profound lore comprehension. I am 100 times more precise than before, Mosha body said, his eyes bright with excitement. What was the reaction accuracy of a great being? Mosha body was sure that his strength had reached a stage 100 times stronger than the force of a sector lord. Among the billions of lineages in the universe, even the space beasts from the 12 pinnacle lineages, like the golden horned beast, were only 10 times stronger than the force of a sector lord. Now that Mosha body had gained power 100 times stronger than that of a sector lord, he had reached the level of an average special organism. The space heart had elevated him to the level a special organism. Of course, such a transformation could be attributed to Mosha body's life characteristics. The weaker the Mosha body was, the greater the effect the space heart could exert upon him during his transformation. As far as I know, it is complicated to enhance the life gene level, Mosha body said to himself. Even by using all kinds of treasures, few great beings from the human race can improve 10 times. The same probably applies to the Mosha clan. I can't believe my Mosha body has enhanced 100 times. But perhaps this should come as no surprise. A space heart is, after all, the core of original true treasures. In fact, within the Mosha clan, the great beings on the senior level would use such life gene level enhancing treasures as the space heart to improve themselves. The effects on them, however, were not as pronounced as they were on Luo Feng. Perhaps only a once-in-a-billion-year, incredibly talented sector lord would be eligible to use such treasures. Mosha body deployed his teleportation. Mosha body blended into the void and reappeared 60 million miles away. He kept teleporting himself to different places. My teleportation doesn't induce changes in space ripples? As soon as Mosha body stopped, he couldn't help but laugh heartily within the void. World-level teleportation was normally like diving into space ripples rigidly and reappearing in the distance. Other great beings could easily sense the unusual changes of the space ripples. For instance, world levels were easy to be found once they teleported within the ice hell. However, things worked differently for universe knights. With thorough control of space laws, they could blend into space ripples seamlessly without causing any unusual changes. And when they reappeared in the distance, the space ripples would remain as expected. For example, when Luo Feng had stolen the black metal board and the purple knight appeared behind him via teleportation, Luo Feng hadn't been able to notice his presence. A universe knight could teleport over 1,000 light years without causing the slightest fluctuation, whereas world-level teleportation would induce abnormal changes by teleporting 1 light year or so. This was the distinction between the two kinds of teleportation. My teleportation no longer invokes changes in the space ripples, Mosha body said, delighted. I have never felt so closely connected to space as I do now. I felt like I was integral to space when I was in the central region of the cone-shaped mountain, but that intimate feeling has become clearer as I teleport at this moment. Moshe Body integrated himself entirely into the space ripples and reappeared in the distance. If Moshe Body had been favored by space before, he was now what would be considered a space special organism, who could seamlessly integrate himself into space 10,000 times better than before. The distance of the space ripples that I can sense has also changed, said Moshe Body joyfully. I feel like I can teleport over 100 light years without causing the slightest fluctuations. Haha. Moshe Body was exuberant. But he also knew what he had achieved was to be expected, for he had completely absorbed the essence of the space heart, thus becoming an incredible special organism. Special organisms like Silver Eyes were not only enormous in size but had numerous fascinating methods. Let me see the last method, said Moshe Body with a bit of anticipation in his eyes. When the life crystal imprinted the second set of lore engravings, Moshe Body realized that he had gained another talent technique. Since he had never exerted this talent technique before and was not clear on its true power, but the talent techniques of special organisms were unique and dominant. If Luofeng's gene-level transformation, a result of cultivating from the 9-volume manual, could be considered artificial transmutation, then Moshe Body's conversion was more like natural evolution, which fit more comfortably within universe law. No matter how much Luofeng's earthling deity and the golden horned beast improved themselves, they would not attain another talent technique. But since Moshe Body's life crystal had been imprinted with a set of lore engravings, he had gained one more talent technique. Begin, said Moshe Body and activated the new set of lore engravings inside himself. Buzz. Instantly, everything within 6,000 miles of Moshe Body was controlled by him. How fascinating it was to have absolute control over the surrounding space. Eyes filled with excitement, Moshe Body said in a low voice, I am space. Space is me. This is my domain. The moment he deployed this talent technique, a large number of messages sent from the lore engravings appeared in his head. This new talent technique was called Domain. Deity, Moshe Body said. Buzz. Suddenly, vague golden lights appeared in the void. Amid the golden lights stepped a figure. It was Luofeng in silver armor and silver wings. Moshe Body and Luofeng looked at each other and smiled. The deity of Luofeng brought out Jihong Emperor from the world ring. Greetings, my lords. Jihong Emperor greeted Luofeng's deity and Moshe Body. Due to the connection of their souls, he felt that both of them were his masters. Lock down the surrounding space within 1 million miles, Luofeng's deity commanded. Yes, Jihong Emperor answered respectfully. As the godly force diffused, the surrounding space locked swiftly. The regular space ripples had paused. My lord, the space ripples within 1 million miles have been locked, said Jihong Emperor with respect. Teleportation is prohibited within this range. The deity of Luofeng looked at his Moshe Body and laughed. Eyes closed, Moshe Body once again enjoyed deploying his newly gained talent technique, Domain. Once he exerted Domain, he could thoroughly dominate the space 6,000 miles around him. Moshe Body revealed a smile. He vanished and reappeared 3,000 miles away. What? Jihong Emperor stared at him with surprise. As Moshe Body flickered, he appeared 6,000 miles away. Moshe Body shifted his locations continuously, moving freely as if the space lockdown didn't exist. How is he able to teleport? Jihong Emperor asked, utterly bewildered. The principle of teleportation was to blend into space ripples and reappear in a far-off location via the space ripples. Once space ripples were locked, it meant that no one could teleport. Not even universe knights could violate this law. Before using this talent technique, Moshe Body could easily integrate himself into space ripples without causing any fluctuations, but it had been impossible for him to vanish under the circumstances of space lockdown. This is Domain, said Moshe Body. In Domain, space is me, and I am space. I am integral to space. By blending into space, I can instantly turn into space anywhere within 6,000 miles, then reappear. Moshe Body was full of joy. It was not teleportation that he had just displayed, but a new, two-step transportation process. Firstly, he turned himself into the space with a range of 6,000 miles. Secondly, he changed himself back into Moshe Body, with the ability to choose any spot within the 6,000-mile range to reappear. Domain was an incredible method that was unrestricted by any lockdown. Within the domain, Moshe Body could be anywhere. The talent techniques of special organisms are marvelous, mused Luofeng. Like the endless reincarnation of Silver Eyes. Once glared at by his eyes, many great beings would die. Another example is Juchong Emperor, a unique organism that has even destroyed universe knights. His talent techniques must be even more terrifying. Luo Feng nodded. Moshe Body's new talent, domain, is not a method for striking attacks directly. If he wants to attack, he still needs to rely on lore comprehension and creating techniques. But domain is, indeed, a top-notched method for assassination, escape, and adventure. Tut! With this talent technique, Moshe Body is bound to be an assassin. Moshe Body was not as skilled in attacking as some special organisms like Silver Eye. However, it excelled at assassinating and ambushing. Moshe Body disappeared instantly, becoming a metal sheet within the interlayer of Luo Feng armor. I can now go anywhere with my Moshe Body, said Luo Feng. The prospect was exhilarating. After all, Moshe Body was almost as good at teleportation as ordinary universe knights, and domain was a technique that couldn't be gained through training. It would have taken me roughly 10 days to arrive at 9 remoteness space before, whereas now I can arrive there in half a day. My Moshe Body can teleport 100 light-years away and bypass the dangerous places. Luo Feng waved his hand and took Jihong Emperor back into his world ring. Then he vanished into space. Few dangerous places were 100 light-years long, even in the ancestral god's secret region. Even if there were, Luo Feng could easily dodge them. After half a day, Luo Feng appeared, opened his silver wing, and looked upon the area before him. On the surface, 9 remoteness space looked like a boundless water world. 9 remoteness space, Luo Feng murmured. Hard to imagine that several creatures with Universe Master level power are living in this 12 light-year diameter region, in addition to the innumerable valuables that have been attracting heirs here for generations. Unfortunately, most of them failed and died. I hope fortune will be with me in my quest for the world tree. Desire and aggression filled Luo Feng's heart. He would have a much brighter future if he could have a world tree as his third body. The technique known as manipulation of time and space, the stabilization of God country, and the enormous godly power, all of which Luo Feng craved. Luo Feng vanished and teleported into 9 remoteness space. It was quiet and dark in the mountainous valley. There were no plants or trees on the mountains, only rocks. The only thing that brightened the mountains was a waterfall flowing all the way from the top of the mountain to the lake. There, the water flowed outward in different directions via babbling creeks and streams. Su. Luo Feng appeared in his silver armor. Finally, I've arrived, Luo Feng said, looked around. He saw the desolate rocks and smiled. It's Rock Island. Although 9 remoteness space was filled with danger, there were some safe places where heirs could land without concern, and Rock Island was one of them. Nobody had ever found any danger on the island, and no one had ever been attacked by the terrifying beings of 9 remoteness space there. Desolation implies safety, he muttered, and there's nothing but water and rocks here. Luo Feng flew up like a flash of silver light. As he flew, he looked down and spotted pieces of broken armor and scattered bodies. Remains of heirs, he whispered. He shook his head and sighed. I presume that the heirs who died here were killed by other heirs. Although Rock Island was the safest place in 9 remoteness space, it did not offer protection against fellow heirs. Heirs killing each other for valuables was common. Luo Feng flew more than 60 million miles. Flying over the tallest mountain, he took in the mesmerizing view from afar. Breathtaking, Luo Feng gasped. He landed and stood on the top of the mountain's peak, surveying the boundless ocean around the island. The water in the ocean was sometimes blue and sometimes purple. Suddenly, it became red, then transparent. As he watched, it turned golden, silver, gray, and blue, in that order. The color was constantly changing, giving it a magical appearance. 9 remoteness ocean, Luo Feng said. 9 remoteness space was mainly a limitless ocean containing islands of varying size. Some aboriginal residents lived on these landforms, and fearsome beings like world trees inhabited others. One island, in particular, was colossal and had been named Tree Island by the heirs. Rock Island was tiny and one of the most commonly visited islands on 9 remoteness ocean. Tree Island was much larger and was ranked among the top 10 largest islands of 9 remoteness ocean. 9 remoteness ocean is enormous but perilous, Luo Feng thought. The islands notwithstanding, even the ocean itself is terrifying. Especially the 9 remoteness whirlpool. Rumor has it that there's almost no way to get out if one becomes trapped in the whirlpool. Luo Feng gazed afar. Based on the coordinates, Tree Island lay in that direction. However, it was too distant to see from here. I need to use my Moshe Body again. Luo Feng nodded and smiled. Even if my Moshe Body fails, I can breed it again. Mosha Body appeared, and Luo Feng teleported himself, following Mosha Body. They crossed 9 Remoteness Ocean without difficulty and soon reached Tree Island. I'll just wait here. Luo Feng's original body nodded and flew into one of the caves in the mountain. He turned on the microdetector and hid himself. In the sky, Mosha Body stood in the air and stared at the massive island hundreds of millions of miles away. Beautiful, he said. Rock Island is ugly by comparison. What a pity. So magnificent, yet so dangerous. Mosha Body squinted to look at the awesome scenery on the island. There were plants and trees of all sorts, and flowers of all colors were blossoming. The view was spectacular. The most eye-catching object was an emerald-colored tree whose crown was a vast, luxurious canopy. Its leaves sparkled like delicately carved jades. It was incredibly vivid and dominated the plants around it. The most powerful world tree, said Mosha Body. A Universe Night-level special organism that can rival a Universe Master. There are 9 world trees in total. He is the most powerful one. It was 360 million miles tall, and its crown had a diameter of over 500 million miles. Its crown alone was larger than Rock Island, and together with its glowing, jade-like trunk, it was a sight to behold. 3 undying world trees, and 5 sector-lord-level world trees, muttered Mosha Body, surveying the 8 world trees that surrounded the most powerful one. The taller ones were at the undying level, and the short ones were at the sector-lord level. Even the sector-lord level trees were 40 million miles tall, much taller than any other known creatures. There seemed to be many typical flowers and grasses on Tree Island, but there are also lots of trees. Mosha Body frowned. The strongest ones are the world trees, but there are also some other undying level trees here. According to my information, some Universe Night level trees are of different types from the world trees. It's not just the world trees I need to worry about if I land on Tree Island. I need to dodge other trees first. Mosha Body stopped hesitating. He teleported and landed on Tree Island. The world trees were the kings of Tree Island, and many other botanical life forms lived there. Most of the plants on the island were quite ordinary, but a few of them were special organisms. Most of those special organisms could pose a threat to Mosha Body. I can't let them see me or notice me, thought Luo Feng. Mosha Body disguised himself in the facade of a floating cluster of seeds on the wind like the tuft of a dandelion seed floating in the air. Luo Feng couldn't think of anything safer. A moving plant would have drawn attention, but a seed on the wind would hopefully go unnoticed. Some of the powerful trees were intelligent, especially the undying level ones, and they were not inferior to humans. As such, Luo Feng didn't dare teleport himself directly to the most powerful world tree. Teleporting would certainly draw that world tree's attention. I'll just flutter and flutter until I reach the world tree, he thought. The seed cluster kept fluttering slowly in the air. Too slow. The seed cluster was already approaching the world trees as quickly as possible. He couldn't alter its course or increase its speed without giving himself away. If it flew against the wind or at a different speed, it would be noticed, and there would be no hope after that. I must be patient, Mosha Body told himself. I'm in no rush. As long as I can fly near the world trees, I can just take a leaf. If there are some leaves on the ground, that'll work even better. I'll just take a single leaf. I'm not greedy. The seed cluster kept floating. Tree Island was like the Arcadia of ancient myth, a land of beautiful, unspoiled wilderness. Countless seeds floated in the air, and Mosha Body's seed cluster was inconspicuous among them. But after 3 months of aimless floating, Mosha Body was growing impatient. Gazing at the world trees still so far away, he shouted in his mind, too slow. The seed cluster containing Mosha Body still hadn't reached the periphery of where world trees lived, even after more than 5 months of floating. At the center was the most powerful world tree, and the other 8 trees surrounded it. The 9 world trees occupied about a quarter of the island. The other trees, which were at the undying level and Universe Night level, all avoided the world trees. The 9 jade-like world trees were glowing. Each had a halo surrounding it, and none of the floating seeds could penetrate those halos. The seed cluster containing Mosha Body landed silently. A sector-lord-level world tree with a thick trunk was tens of millions of miles away. I'm now at the closest spot to the world trees, and the closest one is a sector-lord-level world tree, thought Mosha Body. Unbelievable. There are no fallen leaves. Mosha Body was raging and roaring inside. If there had been some fallen leaves of the sector-lord-level world tree, he could have simply stolen a fallen leaf quickly and fled. And with his current teleportation proficiency, even Universe Knights would be able to find out where he had gone. There's no other way but to take a leaf by force. Mosha Body immediately made a decision. The hair on its seed cluster sensed the luxuriant leaves above. Although it was still tens of million miles away from the trunk. The leaves were like exquisitely carved jades, and each of them was sparkling. Leaves fall only if they wither, thought Mosha Body. But there's so much energy in these leaves, how could they ever wither? The hair on the seed cluster swayed with eagerness. On Rock Island, in the distance, Luo Feng's original body was looking forward to it. Please, he urged. You must succeed. With that leaf, I'll have my third body. That seed cluster rolled over the ground under the wind. Even when it occasionally touched the halo and bounced back, it would be blown toward the world tree again. By all appearances, it rolled on the ground randomly. The seemingly ordinary seed cluster suddenly vanished, and a blurry figure appeared beside an arm-sized branch at the edge of the crown of the Sector Lord World Tree. Mosha Body grabbed a leaf the moment it appeared and tried to tear it down. He was mighty, 100 times stronger than a Sector Lord, but under the force of his pull, the thick twig of the Sector Lord World Tree only bent. The entire canopy trembled. Damn other races, a shrill, angry voice said from the leaves. I didn't get it. Mosha Body was dazed. Suddenly, all the surrounding leaves that had been swaying in the wind converged on Mosha Body and entwined it. Mosha Body was dismantled like a crushed egg, including his life core. Mosha Body was dead. So weak, the World Tree scoffed. Is this what passes for an undying fighter? How could he just die like that? The Sector Lord World Tree was perplexed. Other heirs had tried to steal its twigs before, as a twig of a world tree could grow into a fully formed tree and stabilize a god country. However, it was only a Sector Lord World Tree, so a single leaf couldn't help much. Usually, one needed a whole branch, and every world tree would strive to protect itself in the face of a threat. On Rock Island. So powerful. Luo Feng was stupefied. Mosha Body died before a fight could even begin. Based on what just happened, there's no way it's a Sector Lord. I'm sure it's at the Emperor level. Luo Feng was certain. All the twigs and leaves had instantly come down on Mosha Body when he failed to break the leaf, and his body had been crushed instantly. Then again, maybe the genes of a Sector Lord World Tree are 1,000 times stronger than those of humans, said Luo Feng. Besides, it's instructed by that Universe Master level World Tree, so it must know amplification. That makes it dozens of times stronger. Altogether, that's tens of thousands of times stronger than a Sector Lord, added to some natural skills for attack. Luo Feng nodded. It was an Emperor level 1. It was not surprising that Mosha Body had been killed instantly. The other world trees didn't even react when Mosha Body died. Luo Feng smiled. Exactly as I expected. This kind of threat is nothing to the other world trees, especially the most powerful one, who might only strike if the lives of the Sector Lord World trees were in danger. I should learn from my mistakes. Luo Feng began planning his next move. After a long while, a blurry, golden light glowed in the cave. A figure appeared in the light. It was Mosha Body. That just cost me some energy, said Luo Feng. Mosha Body extended his hands to Luo Feng. Luo Feng turned his hands around, and a forceful flame god crystal started to dim on his palm. Mosha Body took the crystal and teleported himself. I don't believe I'll fail again, said Luo Feng, hostility flashing in his eyes. The flame god crystal is not very powerful, but it's enough to kill an official level undying fighter, like a strike from a pinnacle emperor. That world tree is only a sector level, and it can't burn its body. It won't be able to defend itself against that. And besides, it's so large. Only a few 100,000 square miles will be injured. It's not a serious enough threat for most powerful world tree to interfere. Luo Feng nodded. After all, if his own student were under a threat that was not overly serious, he wouldn't intervene. I only need to bomb it once, he said. Leaves and twigs will fly around after that. I'll teleport myself and flee after getting a leaf. Luo Feng was looking forward to the result. He sensed Mosha Body's location. His arrived. He can definitely succeed this time. Mosha Body first teleported himself above the ocean to a point distant from Tree Island. It wasn't that far, and I can still accurately sense that position. Mosha Body looked afar, and aggression flashed upon his eyes. Begin. Mosha Body teleported and appeared under the crown of the same Sector Lord World Tree. Explode. Mosha Body threw the flame god crystal and teleported himself at the same time. It had disappeared. Boom. The flame god crystal exploded under the crown of the Sector Lord World Tree with a force that could kill an official level undying fighter and rival a strike from a pinnacle emperor. Immediately, 30,000 square feet around the crystal disintegrated into nothing. The surrounding 1 million square feet was blasted to ruins, and farther away from the crystal lay some twigs and leaves. Still, it was nothing to a sector Lord World Tree with a diameter of over 60 million miles. Besides, the explosion took place tens of millions of miles away from the trunk. The energy ripple couldn't even shake the trunk. "Return," said the World Tree. The emerald leaves that had been scattered by the explosion flew back to the crown, automatically merging with the original body, quickly recovering with the help of the tree's energies. As it was recovering, a figure appeared. Moshe body flew toward the twigs and leaves that were in the process of returning to the tree. He grabbed a broken twig with several leaves on it. Each of the leaves was broken. "Got it. Go." Moshe body teleported and tried to get away. Destructive energy met Moshe body as soon as he grabbed the twig. Moshe body trembled and was paralyzed. A strong wind pressed down on it, and it turned to dust and vanished into thin air. Damn other races. Damn other races. The entire crown of the Sector Lord level World Tree was trembling. It roared, "Father, Father, let me kill him." "How unfortunate you are, 7, said another World Tree. "You've lost so many leaves." "Ha ha," laughed another. 7, if it weren't for our father, that thing would get away with it. The other World Trees all began laughing in different sounds, some hoarse and some clear, all mocking. "Shut up, all of you," yelled the World Tree that had been bombed, shaking its branches. "Little 7, that creature of another race is indeed very good at fleeing," a soft and gentle voice echoed through the domain of the World Trees. "It can teleport without even causing a space ripple. If he gets away, it'll be almost impossible to find him. I just punished him for wronging you. Isn't that nice?" "No, it's not. It's not." The twigs and leaves on the Sector Lord World Tree were shaking crazily. "Then make an effort to become an undying fighter like your brothers," the gentle voice continued. "Then you won't need to be scared of the other races." The Sector Lord World Tree fully recovered from its injury after a short conversation, and all the leaves and twigs grew back. There was not a single leaf on the ground. It seemed entirely unharmed. As the 9 World Trees spoke, all the other lifeforms on Tree Island went silent. Inside a remote, quiet cave on Rock Island, shock filled Luo Feng's eyes. "It must be the most powerful World Tree," he said. Luo Feng could completely empathize with the terrible attack Moshe body had suffered and the desperation he felt. It was like an almighty being killing an ant, and Moshe body was the ant. It had to be the most powerful World Tree. Only it was capable of doing this. "He attacked me," said Luo Feng. "Although he's only a universe knight, he has the power of a universe master with its identity as a special organism. Plus, there's his colossal size. He attacked Moshe body." Luo Feng found it difficult to believe. His original plan was for Moshe body to show up instantly, grab a leaf, and teleport himself to escape. The time that elapsed was only a blink of an eye. Even undying World Trees shouldn't have been able to stop him. "All I took was a twig and a leaf, and that explosion only caused a minor injury to that World Tree. Was it really necessary to kill me? And for the World Tree to intervene personally?" Luo Feng was full of grievances. He had finally, almost, had the twig and the leaf that would make it possible for him to breed his third body, after which he could have his breakthrough and immediately become an undying fighter. However, he seemed to have run into a major obstacle. "I never expected the most powerful World Tree to meddle. My Moshe body has already been killed twice. That World Tree must be alert, now. What should I do?" Luo Feng was anxious. He started to contemplate this problem, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. "Why didn't you just let me have that twig and leaf?" he muttered. "That World Tree has a crown 60 million miles wide. A single leaf is nothing to it. Do you really think it's worth it?" Luo Feng was mainly worried about the most powerful World Tree now, a creature that could rival a universe master. It had the talent technique of manipulation of space and time, and with the most powerful World Tree's strength, it could control sky and land just as well as a real universe master. It must have also excelled at time pause, and perhaps it could even reverse time. As long as the most powerful World Tree was in his way, Moshe body didn't stand a chance of breaking free. Not if time was completely stopped. "What should I do?" wondered Luo Feng. Little did Luo Feng know, the most powerful World Tree was a father, and the other 8 World Trees surrounding it were its sons. Like any ordinary tree planted in the soil, as time passed, saplings would naturally begin growing around it. The most powerful World Tree, as a special organism, allowed some saplings to grow around it. A single twig could grow into a powerful life tree. As the most powerful world tree, with endless life force, it had a mighty life origin. It grew 8 saplings around it because it felt lonely, and it gave a portion of its essence from its life origin to the 8 saplings, a bit like the space heart giving its essence to Mosha body. The most powerful world tree would rather give up some of its potential to nurture its 8 saplings. It was like a father taking care of and cultivating its 8 children. And since, like most trees, world trees innately didn't like to move, they had spent an eternity together. It was far more caring for its 8 children than fathers of other races in the universe. In this way, it was understandable that it was so protective of its children. In the cave of Rock Island, several plans that had entered Luo Feng's mind had a chance to succeed, but none offered guaranteed success. Mosha body has been successfully bred, he said, sensing in the primal secret region of the human territory far away, his internal world had successfully bred Mosha body. After only a few seconds, a blurry golden light flashed from God Country Transportation. It spent only a few seconds traveling from the human territory to the ancestral God secret region. Mosha body stepped out and landed in the cave. Go! Mosha body teleported himself and disappeared again. He showed up in the sky of 9 Remoteness Ocean and could see Tree Island in the distance. I'll choose the most conservative approach, with the highest chance to succeed. Mosha body disappeared again. Among the seeds floating on Tree Island, another seed had joined in silence. The seed cluster slowly floated toward the world trees. I'll spend another 5 months getting there, and I'll land beside world trees again, Mosha body murmured. Then I'll let a Pinnacle Emperor slave throw a flame origin crystal and grab a twig and leaf. The Pinnacle Emperor might be killed in the end. However, those world trees will regard my Pinnacle Emperor slave as the head. After the fight, there'll be twigs and leaves flying everywhere, and lots of them will be outside the halo. That's when my seed cluster will land on one of the leaves. Then I'll teleport myself with a leaf. Even the most powerful world tree with the power of a universe master can't do anything because it can't identify the special seed cluster. This was the new plan. Using a Pinnacle Emperor slave as a distraction to blast away a great number of twigs and leaves. Time passed, and the seed cluster containing Mosha body floated along with the wind. To the superior, most powerful world tree, what had just happened was nothing but a brief interlude. After all, many heirs adventured in 9 Remoteness space, and Mosha body trying to snatch a twig was hardly a threat. And many heirs had the power to kill his Sectorlord offspring. The most powerful world tree's only priority was to protect its children's trunks. As long as the trunks were safe, twigs and leaves could be quickly recovered. I'll just go with the wind, and I'll arrive there in a month or so. The seed cluster floated with the wind, hiding among other floating seeds on the beautiful Tree Island. In the area outside 9 Remoteness space, 7 great beings from different races and suddenly showed up. One was crawling, with a godly body of 6 miles. It was the largest. The smallest one was less than 2 feet tall, including its wings. It's 9 Remoteness space, said the first. We've arrived, said the small one. All 7 great beings from other races looked at 9 Remoteness space, all filled with great expectations. So fast. It only took us the time of a meal to arrive here. And it's all thanks to Here Crow Knight's teleportation. Each time, he can teleport hundreds of or even thousands of light years farther, and we jumped over countless dangerous areas. Without Here Crow Knight, it would have taken a much longer time to arrive at 9 Remoteness space, and we may have run into danger. Yes, it was all thanks to Here Crow Knight. Suddenly, a piercing voice rang out, yes, we all need to thank Here Crow Knight. The other great beings went quiet upon hearing the voice. The great being who had spoken was covered in scales full of engravings. He stood there, slightly arching his back. His hands and feet were hooked claws. His hair and eyes were golden, and his voice was enough to shut the other great beings up. Am I correct, Here Crow Knight? The great being asked, looking at Here Crow Knight. Here Crow Knight was 20 feet tall with 6 pairs of black feathered wings. There was a blood-red light dimming on his body, his mouth was like a blade, and his eyes were crimson. He was the same Here Crow Knight of the 100 million heirs on Borhinia Island. Here Crow Knight grinned. I can only help on our way here. Now, we depend on you, Bark Mirror Emperor. 9 Remoteness space is filled with dangerous places, said the largest one. We'll have a higher chance of surviving with you by our side, Bark Mirror Emperor. Yes, said the tiny one. We've been stuck in an eternal loop. Lots of heirs wanted to go with you when they knew you were coming to 9 Remoteness space. If we're lucky enough to discover some valuables, you and Here Crow Knight should select first. Depending on our contributions, Bark Mirror Emperor should pick first, another spoke up. Of the 7 great beings, one was a Universe Knight and the other 6 were Undying Heirs. Here Crow Knight was the Universe Knight, and Bark Mirror Emperor was one of the Undying Heirs. Haha. Relax, Bark Mirror Emperor laughed. It shall be determined by our contributions respectively. I won't take what should belong to you. Here Crow Knight laughed, too, as did the other 5 great beings. Bark Mirror Emperor is famous for his insanity, ruthlessness, and greed, here Crow Knight thought. If it weren't for his incredible inspection skill, I wouldn't have brought him here. As for the other 5 Undying Heirs, how can I let true treasures fall into their hands? But I do need to be careful of this Bark Mirror Emperor. I don't want to become a stepping stone beneath his foot. Here Crow Knight dreaded Bark Mirror Emperor. Bark Mirror Emperor was ranked in the top 10 among all the Undying Heirs. Since the beginning of the universe, there had been heirs arriving and being eliminated on Borhinia Island. As time went by, the vast majority of them were at the normal level, whereas those ranked in the top 10 were the best of the best. Zhuchong Emperor, as a special organism, was only ranked 3rd. Bark Mirror Emperor was also a special organism, with its life level 2,000 times more powerful than ordinary life forms. Plus, he had 2 distinctive talent techniques. He had been admitted to one of the superpowers in the universe, the Northern Territory Alliance, and had been given a true treasure and a treasure. He was relatively weaker than Zhuchong Emperor, but he was powerful enough to fight many Universe Knights. Let's go into 9 remoteness space, Bark Mirror Emperor said. Let's go to the safest place, Rock Island, first. Okay, let's go. Here Crow Knight cast teleportation, and they arrived at Rock Island instantly. This video will end here.